Bob, you said after the game you told your son beforehand, Colin Edey's going for 150, and as it turns out, you undershot it by over 100 yards. Obviously, offensive line and field conditions, a couple of different things, they all play a factor in. But I thought that was the most aggressive and kind of, set way that I've seen Edey run. What are you seeing in his growth right now?
Yeah, well, he was healthy. Like, that's the Colin Edey we saw in training camp. And he had some nicks here and there, and running backs do. And the last 2 weeks of practice, we've just seen him emerge. And he had such a great week of practice for Yale. I went in so confident that he was going to have a terrific game. And I said it to my son, and then I said it to Colin. And, after he had the first run, I said, "You're halfway there." And he was, I got more.
You have this 1-2 punch that gets a bit overshadowed with the play of John Lovett and Charlie Volker. But Ryan Quigley, who's somebody we talked about as such a threat out of the backfield, but he has run, even in between the tackles, so much more effectively this year.
Yeah, Quiggs battled some things early too, and just his playing time was a little more sporadic as he got healthy. And the two of them in practice last week in particular, they were just running so well and so fast, and they're becoming complete running backs. And it was really nice to see them have the success they had.
It was really a fascinating swing between two games when you look at kind of a defensive throwback battle against Dartmouth, and then second half at Yale was like just up and down the field. And it was nice to see kind of, after the way the defense really responded, games at Harvard and Dartmouth, like the offense had a little pressure on it there in the second half a couple times. You need to kind of keep scoring, and they handled that.
Yeah, you got to find different ways to win. And the really good thing is our team has found different ways to win in some of these competitive games. And, if it takes the defense to get stops every time, if it takes the offense to score every time, they're finding ways to win. And it's a credit to, our assistant coaches and the guys on our team.
You've seen a number of really good backs in this league so far, and Champlin, and then Lamar last week, and you're going to see another terrific one this week in Carrick and Brooks. Describe his running style maybe as compared to some of the other backs in the league.
Yeah, he's a lot like Lamar. He's so explosive with the ball. He's big. He catches it extremely well. They complement him, in particular with Abe Willows, who is a slasher, and he runs so hard. I mean, these guys remind you a lot of Dartmouth, not in the exact scheme, but they give you so many looks and put so many responsibilities on you. Their quarterback's a dual threat. You won't see the two different style quarterbacks, although they do play two quarterbacks. You won't see the two different styles, but dual threats in that they can run the ball. They're so effective in their run game and running some speed option and some RPO and read run things, but they also can drop back pass.
And then you look at Penn defensively, really bring in one of the best defensive players in the league in Nick Miller, and he's kind of the centerpiece of a pretty aggressive Quaker defense. Has really carried them to a couple victories earlier this season.
Yeah, it's a top 10 defense, and as I said, this team is so similar to Dartmouth. Top 10 defense and offense. They can control the ball. They can make big plays down the field with their wide receivers, Pearson and Farrell in particular. Their offensive line does not give up sacks. I think they have less than 10. It's close to like 5 sacks on the year. This is a terrific team. Their kicker's an absolute weapon. He's as good a kicker as we faced this year, and this is an outstanding team. And when I watch them in particular, they just remind me so much of Dartmouth in their style of play, their physicality in play, the way they run the ball, the way how physical they are on defense. They're strong down the middle. Their nose tackle, Cooper Gardner, is as strong as a guy as we've faced all year. He's sometimes on the center. They'll play him some different spots. And schematically, they present so many problems with the different alignments, formations, personnel groups, blitzes that they do.
Obviously, senior day is an interesting one, and you'll talk about this class afterwards. And we've said plenty, but there's one guy I do want to touch on today because throughout the year, we haven't seen him, and somebody that you could watch the 2016 championship season and understand exactly how Kurt Haluba helped you win that title. People can't see how big a factor he's been. Can you just tell people how Kurt Haluba, what a factor he's been this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's the best defensive player I've coached, and we got a couple, one who's currently playing in the NFL, but a few that have been drafted that were defensive linemen, and he's the best defensive player I've coached. And when he suffered an injury real late in training camp, you know, selfishly about 10%, it was devastating because I know what he means to the defense. The other 90% was his leadership, his sacrifice. He put everything into being the best player he could be. And the way he's handled this personal adversity has been amazing to me. I don't know, at 22 years old, I could have done the same thing. Knowing what he put into it, football players at that level, they put into this that way. And he is just the most unbelievable mentor, assistant coach. He's out there every day. He's working with all the different guys. And you look at our defensive linemen and how they've grown throughout the year. And obviously Steve Verbit does a great job, but to have a peer at the level that Kurt Haluba played at, also reinforcing messages, he's amazing. And even little things, all the distractions that go into a week. You mentioned senior day and all the things that have happened with the previous success we've had. Kurt sends me a text at 1 a.m. almost on Monday night asking, can I address the team this morning? I want to make sure we understand the distractions have to be out of the way. We have to focus on Penn. We come out on Tuesday, the best practice we've had all year. Like these guys, just their energy and their effort, and it's because of Kurt's leadership.